What is going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today I want to talk about Faraday future tickers FFIE. I want to give you a good breakdown of the data points, the technicals, and everything else that you need to know. And ultimately, is right now a good time to buy Faraday or not? So I'm going to go over all that. Make sure you guys hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And with that, let's get right to it. So it did close, market just closed roughly around 3 minutes ago, 4 minutes ago, but it did close down 8.11%. Had a little bit more of a positive, so it did have 23.19 cents as a high. Unfortunately though, it failed to get past this pivot point. So the fib level is 23.27 cents. So behind the scenes, the technicals are breaking down because I believe this is the third time it bouncing off of this pivot point, on which usually that does mean that it is going to be trending down. And coincidentally as well, the broader market is in a little bit more of a panic mode because of the Fed minutes did come out, and also the whole debt ceiling, no conclusion to that, so that's causing a little bit more of additional fear. So right now things aren't looking good, even though behind the scenes operationally for Faraday there is a lot of good updates, as you can even see right here. So 7 days left, and plus even in general I think their financing, at least in the short term, has been really locked in. Long term, that's still a potential problem, but Faraday is actually doing things. As of right now, though, there is no SEC filings, but there is news. So Faraday Future launches survey to solicit opinions on ticker symbol change from FFIE to FFAI. So clearly taking advantage of the whole AI conversation when it comes down to that. On a side note, if you're looking for a lot of good compiled information, transcripts, SEC filings, take a look at my link in the description below to Seeking Alpha Premium. I do have a free 7-day trial for you guys, so take advantage of that. But generally speaking, like I said, the technicals are breaking down. As far as options activity though, it still is very oddly positive, and that's been a very common trend over the last little bit. Despite what it's been doing, there's been a lot of calls being purchased. So around $17,000 in call premiums and $264 small amount in put premiums. So clearly a lot of upside is anticipated, especially with Faraday, but the technicals and things with the broader stance just is not jiving right now. As far as big money getting in, the last big transactions were on the 15th, so a lot of big noticeable changes there. Keep in mind this was just dark pool transactions. As far as secondary market, these are all the transactions over $100,000. So there was one yesterday for 115, and based on the bid and the ask, you can tell it was a very over ask buy, but other than that, nothing today. So a lot of big money is taking a step back clearly with Faraday, as well with the dark pool transactions. Technicals are breaking down. So I'll give you a quick overview of what shorts did today. So as of today, short score is 64, utilization is 100%, showing 100% of the available shares to short are currently out. Today they did increase 1.67 million shares, which in the grand scheme of things is kind of a drop in the bucket. 187.3 million shares overall being shorted, and that works out to be 20.03% of the free float. Cost to borrow is going down a little bit, so 7.82% is the average, but you can tell from the get-go shorts are getting in. None are returning at all today, and that's the teal line, so basically nothing. So when it comes down to it, shorts know that there's a lot of fear in the market and are taking advantage of Faraday's situation right now. But does that mean right now is a good time to buy or not? So when it comes down to it, like I said, if you're one of those investors that believes in Faraday bigger picture, then hell, take advantage of these discounted prices, because you shouldn't really care so much about catching the exact bottom. But there is a lot of individuals out there that wants to get the exact bottom per se. So I want to talk on that. So given the nature and things like that, and it failing to get a little bit higher based on the fib levels, I do strongly feel that if you are going to make a bid, potentially 16 cents is a good starting point. But keep in mind, I am not a financial advisor, so you guys do your own due diligence. But based strictly on the technicals, I do feel that 16 cents might be potentially coming. And then obviously, depending at the stage of the economy and the data points for Faraday and so forth, then it might potentially break below that, depending on, like I said, how and what happens. But based on the technicals, what is actually happening behind the scenes with Faraday, I do feel that once it bounces off of that 16 cent range, it should be able to trend higher. Because keep in mind, looking at stochastic, it was very much overbought, so a little bit of a consolidation is fairly fairly good, but you do have an underlying bear sentiment behind the scenes. Momentum, number of retail investors were just completely getting out today. So a lot of lack of buying both from retail and from big money today. But generally speaking, like I said, if you are to buy at the 16-cent mark, I feel that would be fairly safe. And of course, you could always do options activity as well, just to offset that, do covered calls. You could also sell puts as well, especially long term. More so looking at a lot of the options activity, it is more so as well. Some 2025, some late 2023, a lot of long-term calls are being purchased. So definitely that might be one thing to do. I always highly recommend you guys researching options because they are in a whole separate beast level, because technically a lot of different things could really influence that, especially volatility. There's a lot of different moving parts, but I highly recommend you guys looking at options because especially in Faraday or any other stock, that's a good way to get some sort of potential premiums coming in on a kind of reoccurring basis. But that's just my own interpretation and my own thoughts and what I typically do. When it comes down to Faraday, you kind of have to be forced to do the long-term ones because the closest strike price is at that 50-cent mark. But like I said, if you go back over here looking for instance at options activity, this is the put/call ratio. See how it is completely down? That goes to show that there is a hell of a lot of calls being purchased, similar to what I showed you on the actual intraday chart as well. So again, that might mean something, might not mean anything. I'll leave it up to you guys to make that determination. But like I said, generally speaking, I feel right now is not a good time to buy, and potentially target around the 16-cent mark if at best. And then depending if it does break that, then you just have to be cautious that it could potentially go down to around 11 cents, which would resemble a new 52-week and all-time low. So once again, Faraday is one of those investments that is a high risk, high return investment. If they do succeed, then things will work out fairly well for your portfolio. But of course, like I said, technically there is a fair share of risk. They are heavily reliant on, for instance, debt, especially for the long term, because short term they have it covered, but long term they definitely do need to watch it, especially as well with the Fed minutes as well. It kind of showed a lot of uncertainty about the economy. And even though a lot of people say that, yes, in theory we are in a recession, but a lot of people are talking about 2008 or potentially worse scenarios happening. So if that does happen, then Faraday needs to be really financially sound behind the scenes, or at least get their operations up and running and to a constant, almost to a profitable standpoint. And I believe based on their last earnings, they did surprisingly say, I think it was in 2024, they intend on being profitable. That one really caught me off guard. But once again, let me know you guys' thoughts on all this in the comments below. Do you think I am wrong? Do you think it should be higher than 16 cents, or do you think it will break below that and have a new 52-week and all-time low? What is your takeaway on all of this? Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. Take advantage of free things, and there is only a couple days left for this promo. Link in the description below and also the comments. Sign up for a free account. You get one free stock. Each stock is valued up to $2,000. So it is a complete no-brainer. Moomoo does also offer $0 commission free level 2 trading. So it is a win-win. Let me know you guys' thoughts. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. And with all that said, I appreciate you guys watching.